This is just another video for the University of Queensland School of Architecture looking at 3D scanning and Cyclone. So in this video we'll be looking at model spaces, editing point clouds, and updating your control space, and updating your registered scans. So first things to first, we want to navigate to our model space. So we can do this just by opening up our various drop-down menus until we get to our model space, and from here you can right click, create a model space view, and we can open our model space view. This just pulls us into our scan and pulls us into our model space. What we're looking out for, and this scan's pretty good, but in some other scans where you've got high degrees of glass, you might have large elements of error data. Now the error data is generally reasonably easy to see because it's generally a much darker red. This is on the intensity scale, which can be done by viewing the hue intensity map. And this basically just shows that this data has quite low intensity and is often a reflection or a mirror. So this really depends on a lot of the refractive indexes of glass, and whether that's going to be errored or not, or an accurate representation. Generally anything that is come through glass is ultimately unreliable if you're looking at measuring it. So it's often good just to cut a lot of it out. So in terms of cutting it out, we really want to be using, we've got to be using our fence tools, which is our tools up here, and we're going to be using our select point tools. So these we've got to add inside fence, add outside fence, remove inside fence, and remove outside fence. Really simple. And to select an element of point, which basically we want to be coming over the top of it, isolating it up, so we want to get it underneath here, so we want to remove these ones. This way, is that, okay. Get that, yep, there we go. Nice and clean, so we're not creating any good data as well. Then we use our fence tool, use our polygon fence mode, and we select around our various data. If you select something wrong, you can clear it using the clear fence. And something to consider as well is the fence will stay the same in your viewpoint. It's tied to your viewpoint rather than your model. You zoom in and out, navigate around, like select my pan tool. The fence will stay the same and the model will move. So quickly, I just want to add the data inside the fence, and that just highlights our relevant data. We can zoom around, make sure we've got nothing we want to keep, and from there you just simply press delete and out goes the data. Now if I want to highlight something particular, as I showed before, we can just create a new model space for inside fence, or I can just add all the data outside the fence. I could delete that. Now remember, of course, as well, everything in here, as long as you don't close the model space down, is very reversible through your undo buttons, or just, of course, Control Z. Now we want to navigate to the rest of our data here. Just quickly navigate around. Tricky, but we'll get it. Yep, there we go. And we can select that. And we see here, we've got something a little bit funny. This is just how the tool was first, so I accidentally pressed here first, so that became our first point. But we can select each of our node points where we've selected in our fence, and we can just drag them around. This enables us to manipulate where we've selected quite easily. From there, we just want to add the data inside the fence as well. Now, one thing to consider as well, if I have captured a little bit of additional data, which, you know, it's a little bit there, I'm not going to deselect it. You can just use the manual tool again and use remove data inside fence. You see that data has then been removed from the fence, and I can just quickly highlight it again. I'll use my polygon tool once again to go around, add it back in. And it's just same methodology, inside, outside fence. and then just press delete. So we'll quickly go through and use my orthogonal view mode here just to be very quick. And I'm just going to take all the data from these backrooms here. I don't want it anyway. Please just select it, just delete. Whatever data is, I'll just move data over here. Yep. Another methodology is if we go into Edit Objects, Create Objects, Segment Cloud. We want to make sure I've got our cloud selected first. Go Create Object, Segment Cloud, Cut by Intensity, and we can use our intensity filter to cut all these data that is in this out of range kind of grouping. I find it's reasonably imprecise and it's just much easier to select the data you want manually, but if you've got huge degrees, this can be a good methodology. Just close that, don't want to do that, and then we'll just go back to selecting the rest of this data. So it's quite easy. Right. One thing you want to make sure you know, as you just see there, is you don't have your point cloud selected. I mean, all your points are selected anyway, so it won't select any additional. Add inside fence, delete. Look it over again. If there's any additional data I want to get rid of. It's pretty good. So I'm not focusing too much on additional data up here, which I might segment later. It's really just cutting out any element that might have errored. So once we've got the various data removed that we want, we can select our point cloud. From here, we want to make sure it's coming through our various scans. So we need to do that, we need to make sure it's going into the control space. Control space is where all the various register scans will get their data from. And you need to make sure this is the scan that they're getting the data from. So, for instance though, if I wanted a registration without that data, I could just not copy it to the control space for that registration. So we could click this, you'll see we've got our main control space, which is just tied to the scan itself. Then each of the control spaces tied to our various different registrations. So we'll just select these two, we'll go OK, and that's just copied this data over. Next thing we want to do is make sure it's become our default scan. So we can set the scan mode to default clouds. This basically means for all future registrations, everything else will take it from here. Click that, that's OK. Next thing is we want to go into our control space. So this is this menu here. So we've changed our control space in our combined scan targets. And that's copied over. So the thing we want to do here is we want to delete the scan with all the data that we don't want in it. So this will have all the scan data that we do want, which is our edited scan, as well as that old scan. So we have to make sure we get in here and delete it, otherwise we're copying over two scans. So we just select that, then press delete, then press yes. There we go, we've done that. We can close that one down, open up the next one. We just do this one to this one as well. Select, delete, yes. That's all come through. From here, we just quickly do the other two scans. So we open up our model space again. Oh, got it wrong. Create a model space view. Go here. This one doesn't have quite as much. We'll go into graphic. Select all the data. That's out of here. Essentially out of range. Like that. Select all. And close just to make sure there's none through here. So we can also, we've got some nice clean lines there, so we know where this wall is, so we can select all the data that is behind this wall. We know that's none of that we want. This is also very useful for editing out people. So from here we've got a little bit of a person in a scan. which is down here. So we can zoom in, select them, go add the scan data. Just double check we haven't clicked any of the floor or anything. We haven't done anything drastic like that. No, that's fine. I'll just delete that. We go again, select it, tools, registration, copy to control space, just those two. Scanner, set scan mode default clouds. Close. Control space. So this might seem a little bit unnecessary for this scan. And it is to an extent, but if I was using this scan for meshing, which I'm going to do later, it is quite important. I don't have any data that is either erroneous or data that is ultimately unnecessary. So I'll call this back a lot later as well. This methodology still works for limit boxes as well. So if I want to create a permanent limit box, essentially you want to calculate additional data, I can do that. So just quickly, if you want to create a limit box, you can, well, we can't do it in control space. The thing to remember is you can't do many things in the control space. This just prevents you from editing. So you have to edit in your model space, then copy it over. Next one, so we'll do it here. We go into create an open model space view. We go out, show them here. See this one. Now, if we want to create a limit box, we just go to View, Limit Box, and here we go. If we select that, we can manipulate that and cut out that data. This can be a good way to edit if I want to edit and delete out points, and I just want to make sure I've got the relevant points, because also with limit box I'm not deleting any data. I can just turn it off. Again, it all comes back. So, if we're here, we just want to select this little bit of, go to orthographic view, select these points, actually, so we select all these points as well. Yeah, we'll just do this again. Actually, we'll clear this. Do this one. Go select. Delete, drag it down, to last group of people here, bring it in, use it in perspective just so we've got it easy to highlight them. Person sneaking around the corner here. Just want to, don't care about really losing this data. Realistically, we'll probably cut all this out as well. So really a bit of additional data doesn't really bother me. Select this up. Varies right. And can then just go that stuff inside and delete that. That's okay. And here, it's ready to be copied over to our control space again. So we just go Tools, copy to control space. Just want these two. Tools. And scan with default clouds. I'm going to close down. Open up a control space again. The ones that have been edited. Go in. Select some of the edited data. Delete that. Go to the next one. Do the same process. We can close this down. From here to update the registration that we created earlier, we want to reopen our registration. We want to make sure we can unfreeze the registration. So unfreezing registration will delete all our scale molds that we've created aligned with this registration. you want to be careful. Make sure you don't have any information you really want to keep in there. Sometimes it could be worth it if it's a targeted registration, or you can copy registrations over to create new ones. Or you can copy scan worlds out of a registration if you want to keep that particular bit of data. But we've got nothing in there we want to keep, so we'll just go yes. But sometimes, of course, as well, you might not be able to do that, because they don't always want to delete. So sometimes you have to just go in, select your model space, and then just press delete. And that will do it. And we can reopen, unfreeze, yes. Just wait a second while it unfreezes. Ah, we must have something open. Try this one again. Open up. Registration, unfreeze registration. And there we go. It's unfrozen. From there, just press auto update. And we can create our scan mode and freeze our registration again. Create an open model space. You can see now that I must have missed a little bit of data, but all our data has been removed. So we now have a much cleaner scan. And we can then unify this and get this ready to take into Mesh Lab and ready to try and create some meshes out of it. Alright. Thanks guys for watching. This was another video, and I'll see you in the next one.